Ridley, I was lucky enough to achieve 2 promotions with Scunthorpe United, but nothing compares to the joy I experience when listening to the Iron Hour podcast. Just a heads up, this podcast contains strong language, you know, the good stuff. If this isn't for you, turn off now. For the rest of you, now fucking enjoy the podcast.
Hello, Iron fans. This is the multi-award-winning Iron Hour podcast. Not just Donald Trump can win multiple times, it's these mugs as well.
I'm not part of this, really.
Aidan, you get to take the credit for tonight. Marco, you get to take the credit for tonight. Becky, you get to take the credit for tonight. And frankly, I think Gareth must be away getting drunk. That Champions League music, that wasn't there just for the kicks. That was there for the massive congratulations. So we wanted to open the podcast by just saying thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone who voted for us and for other ones as well. Thank you to everyone for sharing it. Thank you to everyone for listening to us, for viewing us. This wouldn't be possible without you. And yeah, I would just like to say Scarborough, Buxton, Chester, Sheppey United, your boys took one hell of a beating. So, wow. Marco, what's your reaction to that? How does it feel to be a double award-winning podcast?
Yeah, overwhelming. To say, obviously, we only started just over a year ago. It was never our intention to be winning awards. One award, let alone 2. Really nice to win the second one. Obviously, amazing to win Best Non-League Podcast, but the second one of Unsung Heroes was really unexpected. And obviously, look, everyone on this podcast works so hard regarding the charities of support, with the club, dating all back to obviously when we're raising money for the players and the wages. You guys were stood outside the ground with the buckets.
Becky was, I wasn't.
But even so, everyone pulled together, including Iron Brew, and obviously so many people came together to make that happen. So to win that award, obviously, really did feel good, and we just want to thank everyone massively. But yeah, the smug side of me, yeah, I love it.
Becky, do you feel like much of an unsung hero?
Not really, because I just think we do it just because we love the club so much. When you first meet Evie as well, obviously we've done quite a few for Evie now. I think you just fall in love with her character, and you would want to do anything to help her and her family. Obviously, I've had my own daughter pass away with leukemia, so it was one close to my heart, and obviously everyone else took it on, and we've all worked amazingly together. And long live the charity, I guess. I hope there's more of us to come in the charity work, but yeah.
There we go. Very, very wise words. Very poignant as well. That it's going to be difficult to follow.
That was very good.
So I'd just like to say, thank you to the non-league Barbara as well. And for anybody listening to this, anybody watching this, we can now say, as Marco said, Best Non-League Podcast, Best Unsung Hero. Massive congratulations as well to Gareth for winning Best YouTuber. I don't think any of the bookies would have betted against him. A massively, incredibly well-deserved award. And also, massive shout-out to Scunny Bunny as well for winning the best non-league mascot. So when we get a last-minute winner and all we can see is Bunny running down the sidelines of the pitch on Saturday, it's going to be well worth it. So that was a bit of an unorthodox introduction to the podcast for everyone, but I still think we're high on success. So if you haven't already noticed, joined by 2 of our usual panelists, our management dream team in Marco and Becky, and I'm delighted to say an additional guest of, well, our goal-scoring captain. 4 goals in 3 games. Aidan, you're a great friend of the podcast. How are you doing, mate?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. I'm delighted to be on, to be honest.
Excellent. Let's still say if you're saying that in another half an hour, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm sure I will be, yeah.
So after the high of the awards, Marco, let's get right in it. You were at Spennymoor on Tuesday night. What the fuck happened?
I find myself saying this every Saturday at the minute.
And every Tuesday.
Well, no, Tuesday was the safe bet. They're going off Iron Stats. The record was there. And I think it was 8 or 9 wins Tuesday nights. Safe as houses going to spend more on a Tuesday. And look, what do I know? But it's just one of those games. Again, I think first half we were really poor. And I think Butler said that in his interview. I think it was noticeable. And second half, you could see they came out with a little bit more, a bit between the teeth, and we was really going for it. But look, it still wasn't great. I know obviously we're going to talk a bit more depth about the game, but we looked really good for a 10-minute period, which he's not going to want to hear it. And it'd be really interesting if he does it on Saturday. We went 4-3-3. And look, I know it was only for a short period of time, but I quite liked the Carlton, Fish, and Roberts front three. Carlton, I still think is getting up to match fitness. Otherwise, they'd have seen the game out with those three up front. But then he changed shape and went to Brogan, who obviously has played that position. It works. He won the penalty playing there. But yeah, I mean, starting five at back again, which was said away from home, been successful in some of the bigger games. But yeah, it was a tough watch. I was trying to dress it up, but it really wasn't. Again, I know we're going to come on to it later, but the refereeing, look, we've had some really poor referees at this level. But you just feel like some of them really do just wilt under the pressure. But I feel Tuesday night, the definition of we just got non-leagued, if that makes sense. Spending more in the referee's ear all game, fans on his back, going down at the slightest of touches, and look, all respect to spending more. If we were in the same position, I guess we'd have done the same thing. And teams do come and do that against us. But yeah, just really disappointing. Living there on Tuesday night, we're just so disheartening.
Becky.
Yes.
Just to build on Marco there, he mentions you mentioned the referee. I think we've all seen the replay of Spennymore's third goal. You know, Spennymore's winning goal. What the bloody hell was the ref doing?
Look, I think he's had a stinker. He's froze. He's not been able to get out of the way. Totally think that. However, I'm pretty sure the ref doesn't actually have to move or stop play unless he touches the ball.
That's correct. I'm sure.
However, I do think it should have been a drop ball because he was literally walling one of our players. And let's be honest, we should have stopped them scoring. It shouldn't be down to the ref. And we can keep blaming the ref and his poor decision and not giving us a drop ball, but we shouldn't be allowing them to score and run. I think it was an individual player that ran 70 yards to score. Like, that's ridiculous. We shouldn't be allowing that. We shouldn't be preying on other teams dropping points for us to stay top, and that's the problem.
Oh, you see, all these notes I've taken about questions, and there's like a nice little segue there, and there's like a nice little segue there. I think you made a very good point about the referee. Now, I'm sure James Moody will correct us, but that's my understanding of the law too. I think quite a famous example of when the year Scunny won League One 2007, we went away to Crewe, and it was almost an identical goal that put us 1-0 down, but that then got the Scunthorpe players really angry, and I think we scored 3 goals in the next 20 minutes. The sign of a good side is when you can overcome shit referees. And look, it's an awful goal, it's an awful error. But I thought you made a really good point there, Becky, is Coogan backs off when that lad's running at him for probably 40 yards. It's a really, really long time for you to not try and win the ball or at least put him on the grass. Yeah. But the inner Italian speaks. If you didn't catch that, listeners or viewers, that was a take him out.
He's huge. He is huge. Yeah. Our back four are naturally quite big. We should be taking players out like that. We shouldn't be fearing the ball. You're playing football. You're not doing ballet.
The one defence I will have there is that incident occurred while we were very much on the front foot. And I think without that happening, we win that game 3-2, 4-2, and this is a very different podcast.
What was it your fellow countryman said though? I believe it was the famous Gino de Campo.
Yeah, no, I know.
If my auntie had wheels, she'd be a bike.
I am cutting Butler some slack because he's done something that we've all been crying out for. He saw it wasn't working. He changed shape. we got back into the game and it was working really well. What can Butler do about a referee man marking our play out of the game? But one thing with the rule, uh, I find it really baffling. To me, if you're not stopping a game in that situation, to me, you're just encouraging. In theory, Shrimpton would have been better off absolutely smashing into him, so the game got stopped, and taking a booking for like impeding a referee, or obviously just say it's an accident, or if it gets to that point, I think there needs to be something different there. But no, I think that whole distance when he was running, that referee was going, "Please don't score, please don't score, please don't score." And when he's seen that hit the back of the net,
Yeah, look, inside, I think you're right. I think deep down the ref's got to be thinking, for fuck's sake.
it'd be no one would be talking about it now.
Yeah. Or he's looking over to the linesman and praying for an offside flag that never comes.
It was actually a very good finish.
It was a good goal.
Very, very, very frustrating. Aidan, welcome to the pod.
Yes, thank you.
Just to build on the discussion about Spennymoor, I think obviously if that game had come in isolation, we maybe wouldn't be worried, for want of a better phrase, so much. But I look at the form table, and in our last 8 games, we've only taken 9 points. We're in 18th in the table on that form for the last 8 games.
Yep.
What's changed? What's gone wrong?
Well, Butler got his contract extended. And it just seemed from that announcement, I know it probably isn't because of that, and it won't be because of that. But ever since that announcement, for some reason, the drop-off has just been mental. Like, it's just like he's been given this news where he doesn't have to like work as hard for a contract extension now. So it's like, I don't need to win anymore. Although it's not, that isn't what he's thinking about doing. But it just seems to have worked out that way. But I just don't know what's gone on. It's just like in some games, it's like they can't even pass a ball between 3 people. The players can't even touch a ball down properly. The first few games were unbelievable. It was so good to watch. But then I know we've been getting wins like at Curzon. It was a good away performance, but it was still not a great performance. Like if that was at home, you'd be thinking, are you happy with that performance? But then when you start playing like that, on the way home, you're thinking, if we play a better team, we're not going to be winning those games. And then those games have started coming. And then we've been playing the same against these better teams, and we're dropping points. But I don't know what's happened. I don't know. It's baffling. But 5 at the back just doesn't work. And hopefully, sooner rather than later, he changes. But like Marco was saying, he switched for 10 minutes also last night, and it worked better. So hopefully he realises that and switches to it on Saturday, although I don't think he will because of the way Buxton's set up. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a sticky one. I feel for Butler as well because he loves the club. But just at the minute, it's just not working out, and hopefully it gets better soon.
So just on the defensive issues there, I'm gonna come back to you, Aidan, and then I'll go to Marco. Just thinking about when patterns, and you've talked about a couple of the previous poor or mediocre performances there. So when we went to Southport, went 1-0 up, conceded 2 goals then quite quickly. Same happened at Spennymoor on Tuesday night. Are you worried about that becoming a bit of a pattern that straight away after a scoring we're conceding 1 or even 2?
Well, I just think it's due to a lack of concentration. Like they've scored, and then they feel like, we're back into the game now. But then the concentration drops massively, and then they concede. So they've just got to do all that work again. They need to stay on that front foot of scoring the goal, and then try to get the next one rather than sitting back and staying on the draw. Because I've said it so many times this season when I've been watching them home and away. Like as soon as they get a goal, I feel like they just drop back and they're happy with that 1 goal. And I've said it with all previous managers, not just Butler. As soon as they get that 1 goal, I want them to go get 2, 3, or 4. I don't want the intensity to stop. I just feel like, say if for 35 minutes, go get another one quick before half time, then it shuts down the game. Rather than the team talk for the other team at half time will be, we're still in this game, it's 1-0. So I feel like they need to try and get another goal, and it's the same with conceding. As soon as they get a goal, like I've just said, their intensity drops, and then that's when it allows other teams to get the front foot in the game again. But yeah, concentration, I think, is a massive thing.
Now, Marco, you mentioned it in your answer earlier when you talked about change of shape. Obviously, when we subbed Nicholson off for Fishburn at Spennymoor on Tuesday night, we went 4-3-3. Did we look better? Talk about what it looked like in that shape.
Chalk and cheese, absolute like a different team. That's what I've been crying out for. One thing look, Roberts in the 10 has shut me up well and true this season. I thought his best would be out wide. But look, in that 10, he's been superb. And don't get me wrong, he's having a fantastic season. He's probably the best player in the league at the minute. But from a team point of view, I feel like him out wide with another winger in a free would bring a better return with going forward, grabbing goals as a team, as a unit. Don't get me wrong, as an individual, it's been fantastic. But I feel like not take one for the team, but he's going to have to go out wide. And that might be, it's going to be annoying because there's probably a higher risk of him getting injured. But look, I really enjoyed us in that front. I know it was only a short period of time. And it felt like I was dreaming. I had to rub my eyes, but it was just so refreshing because we've been in this quite rigid 5-3-2, especially away from home, and it's to get those results. But obviously, we were losing, and he's thought, look, it's shit or bust, and we're just going to have to change shape. And I think it'd have been interesting to see if we'd have won. Like I said, I do think we would have done if it wasn't for that incident. I do think it was on the front foot, but like you said, with me auntie with me uncle. But yeah, it'd been interesting to see if we'd have won because I wanted to see what Butler would have said after the game, winning a game with the 4-3-3, and to see if it's something he would go ahead with in the future. So be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to the starting lineup on 11 and starting 11, sorry, on Saturday and seeing what we're going to do.
Yeah, I suspect we'll come on to that question around the starting 11 for the Buxton game on Saturday later. But just before we move on from the car crash that was Spennymoor on Tuesday, Becky, I would just want to thank Richard Parkinson for getting in touch with the podcast and sending us a really good question here, because he points out if we've got 12 players out of contract at the end of the season, we believe now, obviously that total number can be a little bit in flux sometimes. Scunthorpe love a good behind-the-scenes contract renewal for players and managers without telling supporters. But we're going to go with a dirty dozen figure nonetheless. Those 12 players who are at contract at the end of the season includes the likes of Roberts, Whitehall, Coogan, Law, Kelly, Clunan. Are you worried that if we don't go up, we are at risk of losing some of our better players, and then it'll be a really tough rebuilding season yet again for the Iron?
Look, personally, I think 12 players is a lot to have out of contract. I think we lose some regardless of whether if we stay down or go up. I'm not sure what we should be doing with the likes of Roberts, though. So we can either go one way or another. We can try sell him in January, get some money for him, but then that's a huge risk on the promotion push. Or do we keep him until the summer, try get him to help us get promotion, and then let him go on a free? So that's something that the club have to weigh up. I know Leeds did that with Beckford. He had some people coming in for him in the January. They kept him, they went up, got promoted, and let him go on a free in the summer. Like I said, it's a tough balancing act. I'm very scared of losing him. I'm scared of losing Whitehall, to be fair. I think he's just a player that you don't get often. He's a shithouse, and I think a shithouse is exactly what you need in the non-league. No one likes to go against him. The refs don't like him. Managers get irritated by him, and that is exactly what we need. That's the difference, and I think we miss him massively. And if he goes, then I'll be gutted. I think he'll stay if we do get promoted, but I think he'll go if we don't get promoted. But I think Roberts is probably going anyway. So it'd be nice if we can get some money for him in January. But we'll see.
Oh, controversial. Becky advocated selling Roberts. I was going to move on to the FPL update, but then I saw Marco's face and I thought, no, fuck that. Marco, you look like a man who wanted to jump in there.
Well, I think I'd be amazed if a very good offer doesn't come in January from a league club. I feel like at least a top end National League or League Two club would have probably been looking at Roberts prior to him going to Scotland without his injuries. With him going to have a good half a season, injury free, looking at his stats and goal tally, I think it'd be very hard to fend off a good offer coming into the club. I think Becky's right. But on the other hand, if we lose Roberts in January, we don't get promoted.
Absolutely. I don't, it's a balancing act, and I don't know what way the club's going to go. 100%. I think it's a massive risk if we do sell him in January, but it depends what they kind of want more. We're desperate for money at the moment. How desperate are we? Do we keep him and let him go on a free, or do we get some money for him? I think it depends on the next couple of games, how we are on the run up to Christmas and just after Christmas, and then we'll see then.
So basically what Becky's saying, if we keep losing games and it looks like the job's fucked anyway, because we might as well sell Roberts.
What's more annoying, if we'd have won these stupid games, we keep conceding stupid goals to, we could have been top by 15 at Christmas anyway, and we could have sold him.
Well, on that depressing, if slightly hilarious note, Becky obviously called Whitehall a shithouse in there, Marco. So speaking of shithouses, give us an FPL update.
Right, so last week, the big hitters. Man City, you've all must have had Haaland.
Boo. I'm sick of them being shit.
They just are not firing at the moment. And look, surely it's got to turn. Said Man United got two really good games coming up now in Ipswich and Southampton. So obviously I can see Bruno being made captain. Certainly for me, he'll be getting subbed in. But yeah, no, it's very strange. There wasn't many mega points because obviously, like I said, Salah was probably a best return out of the big hitters. And Son looks like he's coming back this weekend as well. So regarding the podcast, Becky's still in the lead in 38th, which is some going again. There's like over 200 and was it 250 we said?
Yeah.
200 people to say, which is mental. So yeah, Becky being in 38 is some going. Well done. Then second, Marco in 65th. I feel like me and Becky being top is no secret to why we're such a good management team.
Whereas I was a bit like Scunny. Started really well. Last couple of months, fallen off a fucking cliff.
Have you changed formation on fantasy football?
I am not playing 5-3-2.
Then we've got Barrett in 156th, which isn't great, but still plenty of time. Max in 116th.
Oh, so I'm still above Barrett.
Yeah, he's still above Barrett. Flirting with the top 100 still. Barrett is last with 156. I've not done this in order, by the way. And we've got Gareth, who is in 148th. So it's quite tight between Barrett and Gareth. But big shout out to Gareth. He did get the most points this week out of us guys in quite a low scoring week. So well done. So yeah, next week, I think there'll be some big points coming this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see. There's no change at the top. Still Paul Crute at the top. So yeah, see you next week.
Excellent. And right, as ever, I'm delighted to say that whilst he's not here tonight, Barra has done the podcast as solid with his usual excellent spy in the camp section. He's spoken to Elliot Stedman from the Beautiful Game podcast. He's also a media assistant at Buxton and just a sort of a general expert on all things football in Derbyshire. So hand it over to Barra.
Right, fans, this week spying the camp, we've got Elliot Stedman from the Beautiful Game podcast and also media assistant at Buxton. So I'm pleased to have you with us today, Elliot. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me on.
Nearly tripped over myself there with your introduction, but we roll with it. Professional as ever. This is an award-winning podcast, Elliot, no less. Let me tell you that. So I have here, you're coming off the back of a really good run of form, including a 2-0 win on Tuesday night against Scarborough. Scarborough are a good team, by the way. We went to away to Scarborough and really struggled this season. How's the season been, Elliot?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a bizarre one. First season as a full-time outfit. We won the first three games and we thought, oh, we're absolutely fine. We look amazing. With the new manager, John McGrath, coming in from previously being only manager of Mickleover for eight or so years. I think he was manager of Mickleover. He's come in, he's done absolutely fantastic job. Like I say, won those first three games, and then I think we only won one out of the next eight, something like that. Went out of the FA Cup to Kidderminster, but we've started to pick up a good run of form, and it's probably off of the back of maybe the change of formation in a way. I think Chester game was pivotal. We won 1-0. It was a very hard, gritty win against Chester, and it was a change of formation. 5 minutes before kickoff, Archie White was ill, so we were going to be playing a four-back, and we played a three-back instead. So we've stuck with that formation ever since. We've not made too many changes to the side here and there. We've got a few injuries, players coming back as well, which is brilliant news to see. So yeah, all in all, absolutely fantastic season.
I knew that actually about Archie White because I listened to your podcast last week, and I thought that was so interesting that basically the manager just stumbled across a winning formula. Did you feel at the time that it was time for a systematic change? Had things gone a little bit stale?
Not necessarily. I think his system works. I think even with the formation he was playing before, I think it sort of works, and you could see that the style of football was there and it was coming. We just weren't scoring. We weren't putting the ball in the back of the net. We were conceding sloppy goals, and maybe with the change of formation, that helped in a way to consolidate with more of a structure to that defense. I think it's helped a lot, and I think it's even helped the players like Liam Ravenhill, who's been playing midfield in that previous formation, drops back into centre back now, and he's a completely different player. So yeah, it's the system change has in a way helped us progress.
And as you mentioned earlier about this being your first season as a full-time squad, how has that been? You know, not just for the players, but like as a fan, as somebody who's working at the club. What's that transition been like?
Yeah, it's weird because we changed manager, we lost an awful lot of players. I think we kept four. We've only got three now. So of the squad from last season, because obviously it's a big change. It's weighing up whether the fact that you're going whether you stick with a part-time job and play part-time football, or you get rid of your job and you're playing full-time football. It's the money aspect of it. It's the travel. It's the being there all the time. But I think that's really helped the players. We've got a good young squad. I think that's one of the main things about this squad. It's a very very young squad. One of the youngest in the top like six or so divisions, and I think that's absolutely crazy to think that there is this young squad. And they're absolutely amazing. They're a good group of lads. We've kept the experienced heads like the Tommy Elliott, like the Diego, who've been about for a long time. Connor Kirby, who I'm sure we'll come on to speak about because he's been absolutely fantastic in recent weeks. Now the captain and players like that. And then we've brought in Mitch Rose recently, who's a 30-year-old who's got lots of experience. He's the oldest person in our squad at 30, which is just crazy to think. But yeah, a lot of young squad, but we're gonna go, and that's what the manager wants. I think you've looked at the likes of Sam Tomlinson, who's come off the bench in I think almost every single game this season. He's part of our under-21 squad, and Dylan Mantle's been on the bench a few times in the academy. I think that's one of the things that John McGraw really wants is that young, youthful squad that's exciting that will go and they'll be able to push from the academy level into the first team and even beyond.
What were those players that didn't take the transition with you guys, as you said, opting to stick with part time was Sam Minahan, and a player who really impressed me last season. The three times we played you guys, and it is three. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. But the 3 times we played you last season, he for me was man of the match at least twice, and there was a good case to say he was in the third game as well. How hard has it been adapting to life without Sam Minahan? And do you think defensively at the back he's still pretty solid?
Yeah, it's been bizarre because Mino is an unbelievable player. I'm sure Stockport fans would say it as well. How pivotal he is as a fullback in that defense, and I think I think the change of style this season has brought that as well. The fact that we can be solid now at the back, we've got different sorts of players in that defense. But Sam Minahan was an absolutely terrific player. We also lost Max Hunt, who both won the Players Player and the Managers Player of the and the Fans Player of the season last season. So when you're losing those two players, you think like they've won the awards. You think how are you going to replace them? But I think we've done an absolutely amazing recruitment job of getting these young lads in that can do the same sort of job.
And I talked there about having played you 3 times last season. I'm sure we all know the story. Let's hope the floodgates don't open on Saturday. But when we had the kind of return fixture at your place just before Christmas, I'll be honest, there was like a little bit of needle there. Is there a little bit of something between Buxton and Scunny brewing?
Maybe, yeah, just because of that original game. I think you just have to look at the press that it got. It got worldwide press. It was on the BBC. You had loads of people speaking about it, and I think the fact that we came back and beat you, I think might
Leave
have
it out, mate. There's no need for that. Is there? Come on, this bloody podcast, giving it all that. Come on,
might have given it a bit more, but yeah, it's a game that we will want to be winning, obviously. And you're a big side in this league, and beating you is a good precedent to see where you're at. I think we drew to Kidderminster last week, another big side in the league. We beat Chester the week before. You look at the Chesters, the Scunthorpes, and the Kidderminsters and sides like that. They're sides that if you pick up points against them, I think for me, it shows where you're at as a club.
yeah, fair play. I can't argue with that. We're the big fish, aren't we, Elliot? You mentioned, I'd say that tongue in cheek. You mentioned there about Connor Kirby and some other players. Finally, what's what we're looking out for on Saturday? Who are going to be the main players?
Yeah. Connor has been a different player, I think, since he's got that captaincy. Obviously, we lost Josh Gradit partway through the season to neighbours Matlock. He needed more playing time. So yeah,
Less said about Matlock, the better, I think.
he needed more playing time, so he's gone there for. So somehow they've got some money. I don't know where they've got that from, but yeah, they've got some money inside Josh Gradit. So Connor Kirby is now captain, and I think he's been absolutely fantastic since. I think his disciplinary record last season, for mouthing off at refs, maybe so to say, was quite poor. And he picked up a lot of bookings for that. But since becoming captain, I think he's only picked one for that, so it's not been that bad at all. And he's just added goals. When he first came into the club, I think he went on a really good run of scoring lots of goals. And then since then, I don't think he's scored as many as I would have expected him to. But in recent weeks, he scored 2 free kicks in a row. In back-to-back games, scored 2 on Tuesday against Scarborough, and looked absolutely fantastic. You're looking at other players as well. You look at Kieran Burton, our absolute stalwart at the back, solid defender. Has been at both Chester and Scarborough, I think, as well. Was at Hartlepool. Is an absolute solid defender at the back, a young defender as well. He will go right to the top, I think. He's brilliant. And then you're looking at the striker we're not playing with a striker currently, so that's a bit of a bizarre one. But Diego coming off the bench as that impact player now. Obviously, we've had Diego for absolutely ages now, and he is that player that we know can cause issues and come off the bench and do stuff, start and do stuff. So he's been coming off the bench, scoring goals, and then you look at the younger ones like the Sam Tomlinsons that I mentioned. that have been absolutely brilliant as impact players as well. So then you've got players returning from injury that will also be in and around that squad. So it's going to be a bit of a headache soon, I think, once these injured players come back, who to start, who to put in the squad, because you're going to have to leave people out.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I enjoyed that. It was a really good insight. One of the most analytical ones we've had, if I'm being honest. And so, yeah, I enjoyed that. Thanks for coming on, Elliot, and we'll see you at the weekend.
Thank you very much. See you at the weekend.
Right. Thank you very much to Barrett and Elliot for that. Really, really interesting insight into all things Buxton. Certainly in terms of clubs that we've played last season, I'm fans are probably maybe more familiar with Buxton than anybody else, because last season we basically played them 3 times. So, Aidan, I'll come straight to you here with the million dollar question, I guess.
Yeah.
If we lose to Buxton, and I appreciate it's a big if, but if we lose to Buxton, is Andy Butler under pressure?
Absolutely. He has to be. Don't get me wrong. People might disagree with me here, but I don't like seeing a manager sacked. Because I feel like if the manager, because sometimes the manager, yeah, he sets the team out, but the players have to take a bit of responsibility. But every single fan inside that ground knows if he starts with 5 at the back, every single player, every single supporter in that ground knows to change formation. And if Butler carries on not changing the formation, he's not learning from the mistakes he's been doing. But so if he changes the formation and it still doesn't work, at least it shows supporters that he's trying to fix what's been broken. But he's just not doing that. Yes, for 10 minutes in a game, but then he'll go back to it at the start of the next game and maybe the same performance might come in. So if we lose playing 5 at the back against Buxton, I think he'll be under a lot of pressure. I do. But I don't think the board will ever get rid of him because of this contract that he's just had extended.
So, Becky, I saw you nodding at quite a bit. I knew there was a reason why you made Aidan our captain in the podcast game. And for anybody who did see the scoring, obviously we did lose 8-1, but it was Aidan who did score for us.
And I played 6 positions.
It wasn't 6, it was about 3. Honestly, footballers nowadays. But I am going to come to you, Becky. Aidan's there has mentioned about learning lessons, and obviously Barra and Elliot mentioned about how we had the game abandoned against Buxton. We basically played them 3 times in the league last season and didn't win any of them. What lessons do we have to learn from those 3 games against Buxton last season to beat them on Saturday?
I think we need to not underestimate them, for one. I think people see Buxton and the amount of fans that they bring, limited fans, and they think, oh, we can walk all over them. The thing is, with Scunny, we've lost our scare factor. People come to us for a chance, and they know they've got a chance, and that's the problem. Last season, they would come, everyone would say, oh, you're our cup final, so we don't expect to be able to come here again. Obviously, we stayed down. We didn't get promoted. This season, we're losing stupid points. We're doing ridiculous things. Like Aidan said, I think, we're sitting back when we've scored a goal. So we're not going for the next 1 or 2. We're just sitting back and hoping that it just ends 1-0, scrappy 1-0 wins. And it's not happening. So people are coming and having a go. So I think the biggest thing we need to do is not underestimate them. Because they are, I think this is their first season full time. And they brought a new gaffer in this season as well, so that they're going to be up and raring for it. They're 5th in the table. They're in the mix. They're going to come in and know that they've won 3 times already against us. Why wouldn't they come and have a go? That's the thing. I think they'll stand strong, probably sit deep, and wait for their time.
He's made a really good point there, Marco, about Buxton being 5th. The 4 sides, all of them above Buxton in the table, lost midweek. I mean, even at our level, I think you've got a great price on that as a 4-fold, which does mean that despite the disappointments of another defeat for Scunny on Saturday, we are still top. I know, yeah, exactly. I know it's ridiculous, but we are. how lucky were we that all of Curzon, Kingsley, and Chorley all lost midweek too?
Immensely. I think we're going to win the league with 56 points at this rate.
I'd take it. I'd take it.
I would as well. But no, like you said, that is a little bit crazy how all four just lost on the same, well, with Curzon midweek. I don't think even the hardened gambler would have been putting that on his accumulator. But like Becky said, with regards to Buxton, I think they'll be very confident. I think we're a little bit of a wounded animal at the moment, especially with the pressure of the crowd. Look, a lot of these, again, I said it last week, I don't want to be disrespectful, but lesser teams, there's a blueprint on how to come to Glanford Park now and how to frustrate us, even if we do go for a goal behind, like Aidan says, barring the Farsley game, we've not really taken it to teams once we've got that one goal. So, yeah, let's just hope it's another repeat of Farsley. We can get that early goal and we can take our foot off the gas.
Very wise words, I think, there, Marco. Very wise words, especially as our seasoned gambler. So, Becky,
Yes.
just would you make any changes to the starting 11?
It's a hard one. It is a difficult one. I think one of the only, obviously Evans is still out, isn't he? So I think I would probably start Fishburn. And that is going against everything I said in a podcast a couple of weeks ago. Shut up, Marco.
Trying to fog him off on loan.
Well, he showed himself. He showed his true colours. Look, I think we're desperate.
When facts change, Becky changes her mind, Marco. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, for anybody who's listening and didn't see that, if you're on YouTube, you may well have seen that from Marco. He's got his little notepad, like a good manager in he is, and he's wrote 4-3-3 in massive letters. He's Selby's equivalent of Mike Bassett. He's going to stand on a rooftop and say, Scunthorpe will be playing 4-3-3.
It's like Mike Bassett with a continental edge. 4-3-3. It's not quite as Brexit as 4-4-2. But no.
Very, very fair. And obviously, we're not totally sure about the fitness situation of Whitehall and Evans in particular. But I've always said that I don't think I've never seen 5-3-2 work without Whitehall on the side. We are at home. Thought Ada made a really good point earlier about how Buxton setup might affect us, might make us more inclined to go 5 at the back. But yeah, we'll see. Aidan, what's your score prediction for the Saturday game against Buxton?
1-1.
Nice and optimistic. Great start. who scores for Scunny?
Coogan from a header from a corner.
Oh, so it's not even like a sexy attacking goal. It's not a screamer. No. Okay, right. Well,
but that's Marco, with 5 at the back, by the way.
Well, yeah, I think we can. Look.
I've got another one for 4-3-3.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
we win 3-1.
I think we can all say that sometimes the side that we would start and the side that we think Butler will start, those are two different questions. Marco, what's your score prediction?
We're 3-1.
Who to?
Yeah. You'll never catch me gambling on the team.
Just checking. And who's going to bag for us? Who's on the score sheet?
I think Brogan will grab one. Who I know you asked Becky about the starting 11. I hope Brogan starts on Saturday. I think he looks a real player. Right, I'm going Brogan, Roberts to carry on his good form. Actually, Roberts brace and Brogan.
Okay, very good. And then Becky, last but by no means least, what's your score prediction?
2-1. Who
to?
Us.
Oh,
I pray.
Just checking.
I pray. I pray for no rain too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll be like cricket fans, just throwing umbrellas in the air, doing the rain dance. And Becky, you've said there's 2-1 Scuddy win. Who's hitting the onion? Who's hitting the onion bag for us?
Scales and Roberts.
Oh, Scales! I like that a little bit.
I think he needs to come into his own again now. I think he's lost a bit of his mojo. So I think a couple of goals will do him the world of good.
We are due a good performance.
I mean, I'm due Charlize Theron walking past the window, but it's not as often as I'd like, sadly.
No.
What you predict, Max? Your prediction?
0-0.
Oh God!
Very optimistic.
Not anymore.
God.
I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like I've made enough predictions this last week. Not all of them about football, and they were all fucking wrong. So I'll go for 0-0 and hope that this time, if I'm wrong, I'm at least happy about the fact that I'm wrong.
I think there's going to be at least 2 goals somewhere, and I do think they'll
Even
score
if they're for Buxton.
I do think Buxton. I don't think it'll be a clean sheet.
I don't. What's worrying? That's really worrying though, especially the last few games where we have been conceding goals really easily and sloppy. That's something's changed there. I know we're saying what's changed. Something's changed there in the fact that I know we weren't great going forward, but we had that defense really strong and solid, and it seems to have fall into pieces and crumble.
Right.
Especially with the 5 at the back.
Aiden's stuck on repeat.
Well, look, if it's a good song, you don't mind it on repeat every now and then. But no, speaking of falling apart, thank you very much. Hopefully, we'll do another podcast next week where we'll get to review the Buxton game in all its glory or all its gory detail. So that brings us really, really nicely on to our usual segment, our final pièce de résistance, our hero idiot moment of the week. I get to decide for once, so I'm very much looking forward to having the power. Becky, who's your hero of the week?
Alex Aljo. She is a female pundit in the men's game. She was the one that interviewed. Was it Diaz?
Yes.
Luis Diaz.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, of course.
Diaz, he is obviously speaks Spanish, and so she would go from English, so we could understand, to Spanish, and then back, and then obviously tell us what he said. She's a very good pundit. She's very good, and she asks questions like she's actually excited and that she's a fan instead of just a boring, probably Jamie Carragher. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I think that clip did the rounds on Twitter, and yeah, you'd have to have a heart of stone not to be impressed. Really.
Yeah, it was very impressive, and she is very impressive. She obviously loves the game clearly. So
let's make sure we get her surname right there and give her another shout out if she's listening to the I Know podcast. Alex, how do you say her surname?
Is that Aljo?
I have got no way.
I've not got a clue.
It's Aljoe.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Before I give my hero, with Becky's point there, it was so refreshing to see after Gary Cotterill. I don't know if anyone's seen this on Sky Sports, interviewing the new Man United manager, Amarin, insisting he answered in English and making it really awkward whilst he's still the Lisbon manager, whilst he's still in Portugal, and just expecting him to answer in English after he's not been in the country learning English yet, and said he was giving the Manchester United fans the cold shoulder by not answering in English. What he chooses to answer in is his own prerogative. Not everybody has to bend over backwards to speak English. He's in his native country, and it was so annoying. It was borderline, honestly, creepy how he just... Oh, it was bully. He felt so awkward and so uncomfortable. But look, it's Sky Sports. He had to get the scoop. He had to get the story.
And he's not even the Man United manager yet either, is he? That's the worst thing.
If you'd picked him as the idiot of the week, that would have been really good.
No, mate, I've got an idiot.
Okay, right. Well, before we get on to the idiot, as much as you're right, that was really shit. And I contrast that with a really brilliant female bilingual report.
It was good.
Apparently, she speaks a couple of other languages as well, just to show off. I'm not jealous at all. Definitely am. Marco, speaking of being able to speak 2 languages, give me a hero of the week.
Very, very roughly, but yeah, mine's a bit soppy. But as we mentioned at the start of the podcast, with us winning the awards, it is just all you guys watching now. And people think I'm exaggerating. I say thousands. It literally is, which is unbelievable.
Crackers, absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, it just shows the depth and the amazing people of Scunthorpe, other teams, and just general fans of us in the podcast. What you can do together. So yeah, just a massive shout out to you guys. Yeah, thank you.
And frankly, I think our viewing figures will probably go up this week because with Aidan, we finally got a bloke on who hasn't got a massively receding hairline.
It is going a little bit.
Oh, don't say that. Compared to
Aidan has that haircut because he's the right age and for that haircut. But Barra has it and gets ridiculed for weeks.
So, look, if you'd wanted to say that Barra's hairdresser was your hero of the week, I would have allowed that.
And you'd have won.
Right. Speaking of winning, Aidan, who's your hero of the week?
All of the 178 fans that travelled down last night, because I would not have even bothered. Last night?
Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, it was. My bad.
So for the record, just in case anybody wonders, we're already recording this on Thursday. Chances are you're listening on Friday. Last night wasn't even right Tuesday, when we recorded this.
But yeah, honestly, on a cold Tuesday night, up at Spennymoor, 3 hours, including Marco.
Yeah.
So I'm your hero of the week.
Absolutely. And the 177 other people.
Now there's a good way to get a return booking. Marco's one of his heroes of the week, as was Gareth, I believe, as well. I was busy watching paint dry. But
so was that.
Which was probably better. Actually.
Three really good choices, but I'm going to give the point to Becky. I think I really liked the interview from Alex, and I think if you go abroad, I sometimes feel a bit embarrassed when I can't really speak the local language. So the fact that she was able to just do it, interviewing a Colombian player for Liverpool, I think it's Colombian. Absolutely terrific. So 1-0 Becky. So Becky, build on that.
Yes.
Who's your idiot of the week? Can you make it 2-0?
Well, I hope so. My idiot of the week is Tyrone Mings. Obviously, keeper kicked the ball out to him, and in a spur of a moment, he picked it up and then put it back to the keeper. It was a shit show. Obviously,
that didn't happen without this. I'm going to swear then. Passing out from the back. It never used to happen, and I know Arsenal got away with one the other week, and they actually didn't get penalised for it. But yeah, I did feel a bit for me.
See, that's the thing. I genuinely can't believe that, because having watched Arsenal do it, surely you'd be on extra high alert.
As we said earlier, speaking before the podcast, with handballs, Europe do see it through, and there were no messing. That's a good one, Becky.
So that's a very strong start. Marco, how can you top what Unai Emery called the worst mistake he'd ever seen?
Mine was it came out today.
Barrett's hairdresser?
No, mine's come out today, and it's Coventry City for sacking Matt Robbins. I mean, look, we've had players go on to bigger and better things and bite ourselves in the arse, but I think Matt Robbins was probably one of those in manager form. Wishing we could have done what he achieved at Coventry here. For them to sack him after almost guiding Coventry City to the FA Cup final last year, narrowly missing out on playoffs, the promotions, while we said about Jimmy Dean going through a shit show behind the scenes, Coventry didn't have a ground.
No.
Playing away from home, essentially all their games were away. And to achieve what he did with that team because of a bad run, what are we, 13, 14 games into the season, is utter madness. And I hope it bites him on the ass, because I feel like he will go and do really good things at another side.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great shout. Although when Scunny sacked Robbins, I thought it was probably fair cop, because I stood in the freezing cold of Blackpool when we got B5. Thick of it.
Yeah. At the time, but he's one of them. When he's gone on and showed what he can do, you're like, I wish he could have done that.
Taking Coventry from total off-field carnage in League Two, 2 promotions. It's also worth pointing out that Robbins was the first manager since the 1960s to get Coventry to finish in the top 6 of any division. Now that sounds made up. It sounds horseshit. It sounds true. But look
how close we were to a final. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember against Man United, that offside thing where it was like a toenail?
All the Man U fans left. Think of how close they were to get promoted in the playoff final against Luton.
Lost on penalties, yeah.
Absolutely crazy. So that's a great shout. Aidan, follow
that. Butler.
Just controversial.
No, honestly, just for not changing formation when everyone else in Scunny sees it's wrong. But hopefully he's going to prove me wrong. And I like it when people prove me wrong. So.
Right, well, on that basis, then I won't give it to Aidan, because hopefully Butler will prove him wrong. I think it has to go to Marco. The sacking of Robbins, I think, is really outrageous. Football fans and clubs generally like to talk about loyalty. Well, fundamentally, I think it's a two-way street, and
I think you need to be. I think you need to be in the middle with the loyalty and the managerial side as well. I think you need to have some loyalty, but then you still need to remember that the whole idea is to get promoted to the next league. So there's too much loyalty as well. Do you get what I mean?
Oh, is that you saying give Butler?
That's not me. That's not me saying anything. I'm just saying that there's a such thing as too little loyalty and too much loyalty, where people have got rose tinted eye like goggles on.
I wish these were rose tinted.
The Butler thing's really weird because I know Barry mentioned we all had Scunthorpe coming like no one had us coming top, didn't we?
No, I didn't.
My pre-season prediction was 6th, I think, something.
Yeah, and I think I was 6th or 7th. So the fact that it's meltdown when we're top. I know I sound like Butler, we're still top of the league, but we're probably achieving points wise where we thought we would, and where we maybe think we would be at the end of the season. So let's just hope.
Yeah, I mean, there's two bits there, isn't there? Firstly, I think it's expectations. You know, we started really well. It's not like we've been consistent the whole way through. We've either been really good or at times really shit. And as well, I've said it before and I will say it again, rightly or wrongly, by sacking Dean in the summer, in my view, you send the message that second is a failure. And luckily, we are still top. And, you know, we could still win the league, but we've got to crack the case. We've got to turn the corner.
Yeah. It's very similar to obviously it's on a much larger scale. It's very similar to the Tuchel and Southgate. Southgate obviously getting to finals.
It's true. Yeah. I would agree with that.
If he doesn't win the World Cup, is a failure, which is madness. And it goes the same for Butler. If we come third or fourth and have a really good season with his first year in management, I know Scunthorpe fans won't want to hear it, but it's where we thought we'd be, and losing the players we did. I know we've still got a really good team.
Yeah, I thought Stuart Moore summed it up really well, and he's a massive defender of the club and Andy Butler. But he said of the two best teams playing on Tuesday night, he thought we were third best. So I don't know if that means he's saying the ref had a great game, but I doubt it. Right, so yeah, it's one for Becky, one for Marco so far. Let's see if somebody can nick a winner or we get a three-way tie here. Last but not least, what's your moment of the week, Becky?
Obviously, Marcos stole the spotlight with his hero. I have put winning the awards. In no way, shape, or form, no offense, did we think we would win any award? We was like, it's
double
nice
award-winning podcast. Double award-winning.
We are, and it's nice to be nominated, but we've got no hope. And then the results came in and it was just one after another. And it was just good to see success. And I mean, a lot of graft goes into these podcasts and people don't see it behind. We've had a lot of shit occasionally. We all have very different opinions. However, there is a lot of work that goes in from each of us individually. So just to win it was quite nice.
No, I completely agree. Marco, give me your moment of the week.
Same as Becky's. No, I'm joking. Mine was, although it wasn't a nice one, it's still the talking point, and it definitely is between me and my dad. We still can't go over it. Was the referee, the taking out of Shrimpton, which allowed them to go up the other end of the pitch and score. Look, stuff like that doesn't happen. It shouldn't happen. Something you don't see very often. But for rightly or wrongly, it was my moment of the week.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, moments can be good, bad, and a little bit of both. So still something that's going to frustrate us for a long time, I think. Aidan, can you nick a point? What's your moment of the week?
Well, mine's Gainsborough at the weekend.
Ooh.
The way they was losing 3-0, came back, looking like they were going to go out on penalties. Then there was 5 missed in a row. That
penalty shootout was crackers.
I know.
Could you imagine being in the ground for that?
I know. And then obviously they're winning, and now they've been picked to be on TV against Harrogate, which is earning them £60,000. And for a club like Gainsborough, it's massive. So
Russ Wilcox, managerial genius.
Absolutely. So I just think that for a little club like Gainsborough, which are now only a league below Scunny, but we don't have to say about that. But for them, it's absolutely huge. It's literally like a game changer for them. And I wish them all the best in the game.
Absolutely. The only we were talking about it before, Marco, weren't we? He says the only regret they'll have is obviously they've been drawn away at Harrogate, but in the first round, Harrogate beat Wrexham, which could have literally. I want to have to see Ryan Reynolds going that KFC the other side from the ground. I want to have to see that fella out of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia learn who Russ Wilcox and Paul Musselwhite are. Three very, very good choices there. I don't like three-way tie. Sorry, Aidan. Becky, I think you've won. I think there's something about being able to say a double award-winning podcast, which at least for this week we're going to milk this shit out of.
Absolutely.
So well done, everyone. Give yourself a round of applause. So that brings us nearly to the end of this edition of the Iron Hour podcast. Thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you everybody for listening. Before you go, just want to plug the Christmas quiz, which is happening up at Scunthorpe United. Obviously, quite rightly going to be named the John Staff Memorial Quiz on Thursday, the 12th of December. The Iron Hour podcast are entering a team. So if you want to come and kick our arse, show us up for our poor general knowledge, then there's only one place to do it, and it's the Exec Lounge at Clanford Park. There's still space for one more team, between 6 and 10 people. I believe it's £10 per team. So make sure you drop Stuart Moore a message if you want to be a part of that. There's going to be a raffle with some terrific prizes. The first prize in the raffle is going to be and I'm hoping this is not a typo, this is what I've been sent. The first prize in the raffle is going to be a £350 gift voucher in the club shop.
That's massive, that.
Yeah. Marco's Uwin. Think of all the presents you could buy for your Grimsby supporting relatives. The second prize, on a similar vein, is going to be £150 voucher in the club shop. Again, think of all the presents you could buy your whole city supporting relatives at Christmas. They're encouraging people to go in retro shirts. There will be a prize for the best retro shirt, a £75 voucher donated by Bradley Guest. So thank you very much to Bradley for donating that. The winning team, every team member will get a £20 voucher in the club shop and a trophy for the winning team, which they will get to keep until the following year. As I know that Stuart's hoping that if it's a successful fundraiser, they'll try and repeat the trick next year. So all I'm saying is Barra's going to be the quiz master as well. I hope that's not a secret, because if it is, I've just revealed it. That's well done for getting to the end. That's your treat, learning that Barra's going to be the quiz master. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be a great night. Dave Thomas and Stu Moore are going to be selling raffle tickets online and at the ground in the weeks leading up to the quiz. So you can buy a raffle ticket even if you're not attending the quiz. Barra has also been working with John Staff Jr. Him and his brother Robert were at the game, the Radcliffe game last Saturday. It was really good to see them there. They're going to include a special round dedicated to John Staff, so get swatting up. And last but not least, we just want to say congratulations and well done to a very good friend of the Iron Hour podcast, which is the boxer Gemma Richardson. Obviously, famously, a scunny lass, won silver in the Commonwealth Games. Very kindly, yes, I think that was what she did, Marco, a bit of punching. She very kindly helped out the podcast and Carl Moore with announcing some of the raffle winners and giving prizes out after our most recent game up at Bottisford Football Club. Delighted to say that she has signed her first professional contract as a boxer. She's going professional now, so massive congratulations to Gemma. It's very well earned. All the thousands of hours in the gym, I'm sure, have been worth it. And yeah, very, very, very good luck. So yeah, that's the end. God, that was a lot of talking. This is what I get for standing in for Barrett, having to read out the massively long messages he sent me. So thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Max Bell.
And and thank you very, very much, Aidan, for joining us for the first time. Very much appreciated.
No problem at all.
Podcast football, goal scorer, captain, and all-round Facebook troll. So
Twitter more, actually.
Social media legend, I should have said. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And here's hoping for 3 points on Saturday. Up the iron.
Bye. Goodbye.